All right, guys. So Biden Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is under the spotlight, right? Obviously, because you have this gas crisis, and then you also have this infrastructure package. Infrastructure, they say, right? And he's gonna get called out in the best way possible from Joe Kernan on CNBC. And I just want you guys to pay attention to how Pete Buttigieg, who I think is probably one of the swarmiest, slimiest politicians out there, right? He is a prototypical politician because he's a master at saying a whole lot without saying anything at all. Watch how he reacts once he's called out by Joe Kernan on the fact that this Democrat infrastructure bill is really just a Trojan horse for more big government programs. Take a look.
You ever hear the expression, all politics are local, Mr. Secretary? So you're the Transportation Secretary now. So we're proposing a usage for the term infrastructure that Republicans would say includes every wish list from the Democratic Party going back 50 years. As a Transportation Secretary, do you now, and be honest with me, do you now just wish that we'd look directly at what your domain is? Roads, bridges, airports, throw in, some internet and Wi-Fi. Let's do $700-800 billion, do it with Republicans, get it done, give me my infrastructure, transportation, and do not try to do everything at once. Tell me that you believe that, but I know you won't.
I mean, look, as the org chart goes, I'm the roads and bridges guy, right? The transportation part is the piece that I work on. But when I think about why roads and bridges matter, the fundamental reason they matter is they make it possible for Americans to live lives of their choosing, right? Whether there's a good road to get you where you're going is going to help determine whether you can go to school, whether you can go to work, whether you can see your family. And I think the same thing is also true of the other forms, the broader forms of infrastructure we're talking about. They're all part of the foundation that make it possible for us to live well. Now, I don't want to get bogged down in a semantic or philosophical argument over what to call something if it's a good policy, right? I mean, you're describing these as democratic items, but these are things the American people want. No,
Mr. Secretary, you might as well just tell me, you need those roads to drive to free college and free child care, and therefore I want to build them so that, come on.
Well, no, I think all this fits together because, look, you can either organize your thinking around the org chart of the federal government, or you can organize it around what the lives of human beings in this country are actually like.
Then you can make that jump to everything under the sun is infrastructure. We should spend $100 trillion and give everything to everyone because that's what their life is. You can't do. We don't have the money. We don't have the wherewithal.
We do have the money, though. That's the thing. Like we abundantly do have the money because the bill is paid for, right? And the real question is,
all right, guys, you see how Pete Buttigieg reacted there? Shout out to Joe Kernan, man. Like I'm glad that he cut through the BS. Okay, because like I told you guys before with the Democrats, they're trying to create a problem, right? And they're trying to present their infrastructure package as a solution to the problem. Now, again, guys, this infrastructure package includes all kinds of things that are not traditionally categorized as infrastructure. We're talking about like healthcare. We're talking about child care. We're talking about elderly care. We're talking about all kinds of things. And I'm not saying they're not important, but in my opinion, I would rather address those things separately in a targeted manner. But see, the Democrats want to package this all together as infrastructure because they know that the term infrastructure polls well among the general population. So if they can redefine all these big government programs that they want, like universal daycare as infrastructure, then they'll be able to push it through under one bill. This is typical politician sleaziness, okay? This is what they do. They play with language and they play with the semantics game in order to try to push through things that the American people, really we can't afford, right? We just can't afford right now, okay? And I'm harping on the Democrat spending a lot because, guys, I really do believe that our debt is out of control, okay? You have Pete Buttigieg going up here and saying we can't afford it. We can afford it. Bro, we're $28 trillion in debt. $28 trillion. Okay, our debt to GDP ratio is the highest since World War II. We're over 130% debt to GDP. Okay? Do you think that we can just keep spending and spending and spending and spending, just keep printing money? Because that's what Pete Buttigieg thinks. He said, yeah, we do have the money, but we do have the money. Where? It's paid for. Paid for by who? Paid for by who? Who's going to pay for it, Pete? Because the Biden administration has not presented any type of real compromise in terms of how they're going to really pay for this yet. Okay? That's not something that's been worked out. They say they're going to increase taxes on the rich, but I just don't believe they're going to be able to increase taxes on the rich and pay $4 trillion. All paid for $4 trillion just by increasing taxes on the rich. I don't think so. And the Democrat Party is bought and sold by Wall Street, so I'm pretty sure that Wall Street will have something to say about them footing the bill for this, right? That's how this stuff works. So therefore, it's really going to be paid for by the middle class. That's who it's going to be paid for. But see, they can't say that out loud. They can't say that out loud because they say that out loud, all of a sudden this infrastructure package loses support. Okay? It loses support. And again, you see what happens, guys, when they're called out on the BS, right? When you don't let them just play the semantics game and try to weasel their way through it, saying a whole bunch of nothing, okay? When you just call it out for what it is, he folds up. He folds up. I'm telling you guys, this infrastructure package really is a Trojan horse. They're not really trying to work with the Republicans, okay? The Republicans are like, listen, let's just do traditional infrastructure, okay? Let's just do roads, bridges, maybe some internet stuff, pipes, stuff like that, okay? And then we go from there. We really don't have the money to keep spending right now. We really don't. Republicans are right on this. But Pete Buttigieg is like, no, we can just spend $4 trillion. Just finance it with debt. They say they're not going to, but they're either gonna have to raise the taxes on the middle class, or they're gonna finance it with debt. Either way, you're gonna pay more taxes because inflation, right? Which is something I've been talking about for the last 3 days. Y'all don't get tired of me talking about inflation, but I'm seriously concerned about it. Okay, I'm seriously concerned about it. So, to me, in my opinion, man, the Biden administration is falling apart. They're falling apart. All of his, secretaries and his picks, they're not really giving good answers. They're avoiding really having hard conversations. They're not trying to negotiate with the Republicans. They're not trying to be targeted. They're not trying to be responsible. They just want to push through their, dream bill and use the pandemic as an excuse to do it, right? Excuse to, again, like Kernan was saying here, build roads and bridges to free college and daycare. That's all it is. Roads and bridges to free college and daycare. That's literally what the Democrat infrastructure bill is. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.